Hello, dear colleagues. This is the first direct broadcasting from Gaidar Forum. I'm Maria Afonina. I'm Vice Rector for Education Activities of the Management Workshop Senezh for the platform Russia, Country of Opportunities. And this discussion is devoted to the time of new competencies. This year, the topic of Gaidar Forum sounds as World and Russia after pandemic. However, if we take a closer look at the situation and the real life of ours today, just a few days ago, it was discussed that pandemic has not ended and the virus is mutating and there are 1,500 different mutations of the virus and we are in the progress of pandemic. That's why we are now in the forum of the future today. And our current task, our goal of today's meeting is to take a look and see how competences changed, how requirements changed and goals changed and people changed amid the new reality. And today we will have a very interesting talk with people who are here in the studio with me today. That's the first day when we face new challenges, new opportunities. This is the very difficult year because it's first we don't know how to work and how to act. However, there is another opinion that the second day can be not less difficult, although we know how to act, but we should learn how to stand on our ground, where to go, what course to take and what to develop. So today we will discuss with the colleagues who are now here in the panel. This is Ruslan Vesterovsky, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Russia. This is Konstantin Dolgov, Deputy Chairman of the Committee on Economic Policy of the Federation Council. Vsevolod Belousov, Master of Science, Acting Director of the Federal Center of Brain Research and Neurotechnologies of the Federal Medical Biological Agency of Russia, and Vladimir Ostromenskiy, Chief Physician, Maternity Department of the Scandinavia Clinic, winner of the flagship competition, Russia, Country of Opportunities. Presidential competition leaders of Russia. Before we start our discussion, I'd like to remind you that the crisis in its definition, like Chinese crisis, if we take it from China, if we take a direct translation, this word has two meanings. On one hand, this is danger, and on the other hand, it's a beneficial opportunity. Since I work in the company which is called Russia, the Country of Opportunities, we are going to talk about opportunities without forgetting about dangers and challenges which provides to us the situation we are in now. I'd like to ask Vsevolod first. You are a neurophysiologist, you are a medical doctor. Is this virus, the COVID virus, which has managed us last year, and did it really change so strongly our world that we have to speak about transformation, we should take into account new competencies, but maybe we shouldn't? Maybe this virus didn't change a lot. What do you think? How this danger or opportunity is seen by your eyes of a medical doctor? Thank you very much, Maria, and in general, many thanks for this invitation to this forum. This is a very interesting event. Until the last moment, I didn't know in what role am I being invited. I'm heading the Federal Center of Brain and Neurotechnologies. We are studying some basics of brain problems and brain diseases, and we provide high-tech help to people on neurosurgery and neurorehabilitation. And of course, we were affected by these problems because in the first wave, we were rebuilt for a COVID hospital in the first wave of coronavirus. And of course, this COVID pandemic changes significantly our life and all its aspects. Indeed, it is related to the fact that this virus affects health. We should understand that health is the first and foremost thing hit by the virus. And the effect is systematic. Basically, it hits all systems of the organism, not only lungs, but also blood vessels, immune system, and brain, of course, brain. And it turned out that the virus influences the brain. It's difficult to say whether it's a direct impact, or if we say that neurons are dying in the brain, or is it an indirect because the cardiovascular system is suffering and the blood circulation of all organs, of all parts of the body are suffering, and also the brain. And the coronavirus impacts the immune system, cytokine storms, and so on. And there is a multilateral dialogue, a bilateral dialogue between the immune system and the brain. And when the immune system gets crazy, the brain is also apt to some problems and failures. When we have fever, we know that it's hard to think, how to work, hard to think, how to work, and this is the same situation, but in a more expressed form. And indeed, we can speak about different competencies, but the most important competence now, as I see it, of a modern person, not only a manager, but every person, is to be healthy, stay healthy. And actually what we saw when we were working, especially when we work as a COVID hospital, we saw people who had some chronic diseases, diabetes and obesity. They suffered much harder from this coronavirus. Yes, we may say that healthy young people also fell sick, but yes, that's true. But chronic diseases, they even escalate the situation, make it harder. So stay safe, and to keep your own health is one of the most important critical competencies. And it is also related to a very simple competence like be able to have healthy food, to take healthy food and healthy nourishment, because this healthy food is a determining factor for your health, like fitness or sports. For example, now we say that we eat junk food with light carbohydrates, sugar, like in pasta or in potatoes. Well, our macrophages, which initiates this cytokinic storm, they are fed on glucoses. This is their favorite substance. And now low carbohydrates diets can already reduce those storms, and the people who don't take much carbohydrates in their normal life, they are less subject to hard forms of those diseases and diabetes also, because diabetics, they have problems with sugar in their organism, and they are also in the risk group. Those are the competencies which are not very popular. Everyone speaks about leadership qualities and other things, but be healthy and have healthy food and nourishment is one of the way outs. Well, the competence of health management, we may say, and the ability to maintain healthy state, it's not just a trend or fashion, it's just the reality where we should take a look seriously at our health and take some preventive steps and work with them, as with the development of leadership. And as absolutely, you're absolutely right. This should be cultivated and promoted at the state level, as it happened with smoking. People smoke much less because of this Wait Out and good campaign of prohibiting smoking indoors. And for those who really want to, they go outside, and those who don't like, they just gave up smoking for this reason, because they were too lazy to go downstairs and go outside. Well, the very well built system here is a very good thing. Myself, as a psychologist, also interested in this question. Could you tell us about neuroplasticity and about the fact if it's it's possible to influence the restoration and rebuilding of neuron connections. So on one hand, coronavirus impacts it, but on the other hand, is it possible for us to use this situation as an opportunity to improve the quality of our brain? Yes, these are related things, and plasticity is an interesting notion. This is an ability of a material to adapt, to take any shape without detriment to the qualities and to the properties. The neuroplasticity term is related to this. It is ability of brain to adapt to new situations. It means appearance of new synapses or contacts between neurons. And what is important, old and not used ones are being destroyed. This we call neuroplasticity. This is our ability as organisms and personalities to adaptation. And generally speaking, this is a very well related thing. I would say that plasticity is the quality which is very important for the modern leaders in this changing world, the ability to adjust for new conditions. So we were the center of the brain. We have become the COVID hospital. Then we went back to the brain center. And we did this. We adopted to the new situation, be ready for those changes without detriment to the quality. And this plastic management has a lot of things to do with the plasticity of brain. It is directly related because we think with our brain, we can manage with our brain. And so, yes, the answer is yes. And as for our direct health, directly our brain, we lose memory, we have lower performance during training and learning, and we have to know how to compensate it. We should gain new knowledge, new skills. We should make our brain work. We should pump up this muscle and train this muscle. And a lot of managerial qualities are related to this. We basically should know how to collaborate. We should accept and perceive new competencies. We should constantly perceive new information from other areas, not from our comfortable and very familiar area. This is related to the ability of the brain to digest information, to build up new relations and new connections. Thank you very much for this interesting position. So our bowl will be supplemented, our storage will be supplemented by the knowledge from different speakers. Thank you very much. My second question is to Vladimir. You are the winner of the Leader of Russia competition. You know a lot about leadership. Can you tell us, what do you think? Will the leadership model be changing from the point of view of new reality? Because many people say now that there is authenticity, understanding of your core, that it's not enough now just to understand where to go. Some classical characteristics of leadership are there, of course, but now the focus is made to the seek for your authenticity or unique features. Is it really important now in this situation? Yes, I think it's absolutely important. We lived through the period where we have had a lot of trainings, learning programs, and amid this information saturation, it's very easy to get into the trap of copying. When you copy somebody's style to try to resemble a person which you think is a leader, and you try to transform your real style of life for this person or many more people, or a model which you think is important. And the request for your individuality and leadership and authentic leadership is very important, because you work out, you create your style, which will be the most fair for you and will be the fairest and correct for your team. The team will understand that you are as you are, and this is the leadership authenticity. The second aspect, which is absolutely important too, in the era of the information wave we are living in, and what Vsevolod mentioned already, the maximum adaptation to new opportunities. Do we want or not? We should change our profession 4 or 3 or 5 times during our life. We will live at least long, at least 80 years. Our kids will live 100 years, and we should live good, live efficiently and happy. And to make our life happy, we should master new competencies and gain new skills. And in order to do this, we need the basis, our basic education, what we have. And the second component is a quick translocation of experience from other areas, from other professions. And I saw it very well in 2017 when I was in the competition, the managers, my future friends from other, I'm a medical doctor, and I saw how financial guys or how engineers work, and understood that we should start even there to gain the experience. In 2020, I managed to transfer my medical experience to other people, to my colleagues, and the example of such translocation could be the Senezh program, the competence theater, when using the actor's role or director's role, producer's role, we can apply those competencies for ourselves. If I want to be a director or a scenery man, I can, or a producer who calculates financial aspects and economic effect, I can take this role. The actor is basically the person who applies new competencies in practice. So answering to your question, of course, authentic leadership is the most important request. If we go deeper, the profession you are developing, just a doctor, it could seem to be a traditional profession or obstetrician in the maternity home. To what extent authenticity is needed there? Probably traditional skills would be enough. What do you think? Well, basically medicine, on one hand, is a very conservative area. But on the other hand, using of new technologies, new things from other industries help medicine to develop. And 2020 showed us it very evidently that our medicine has become different in the horizon of the last decade, how strongly we changed the approaches. We've become more patient-oriented, patient-centric, and this is the role of leadership, to embed it into your team, to help your people to adapt and to help your people to work in those difficult conditions where the load has grown 5 times in one institution. You get new technologies every day, new medicines come up every month, and well, in our case, we had 8 iterations of clinical protocols for COVID infection in the last 6 months. You should have the ability not only to adapt them, to use in your real practice and transfer it to your team. Authentic leadership is, of course, the key requirements here. Okay, clear. Vladimir, you, you bring new people to life, to this world, and you observe it, and it is wonderful process of observing, of the bearing of new life. Is the embedded, or leadership can be developed? Is it inherited, or can it be developed? What do you think? And for you, as for the leaders of this competition, winner of this competition, can you take this? Can you say, what do you think? I saw many times how people come to this world, and every person is a leader. When he or she comes, it's a very difficult situation. You've already won if you came to this world when you were conceived. This is your first win, and then the second win when you come to this world. And this is already your leadership. And so answering to your question, leadership, of course, is an inherited feature of every person. But as any other property, it can be developed. You can learn how to do it if you really want it. If you have this need, you can develop it in yourself. A leader is a person from a group of people, of course. You cannot be only one and only leader, because you cannot be a leader among yourself only. If your group tells you that you're a leader, you can develop your skills. You can develop your inherited property. So this inherited property is, we don't have all, and then the question to you. It's up to you. Do you need it or not? And do you want to develop it or not? This is the second question. Okay, continuing this children's topic, let's remember our childhood. Some girls and boys wants to be Santa Claus, and someone just don't want to play the leadership role and want just to be a massive role like hares and hedgehogs. Then this is again the question: do you want to be a leader? If you do want, if you have this internal need, if you want to be a leader, or you want to better mushroom, but leader among mushrooms or hares, you can be. You can be the best hare or the best mushroom. If it's enough for you, then it's okay. If for you it's enough to live a normal life without overcoming, overwhelming and summits, if you're happy, then okay. If you have that normal life, the most criteria is to be happy and be content with your lifestyle. Everything else depends on us. I think we can touch upon another competence of happiness management. It's a very important competence, the happiness of if you get it from what you're doing, it's very important. And many companies, by the way, at least Western company, has the happiness director who is involved in the happiness development at the working place. This is a good trend. Kids grew up, gain new skills and knowledge, and they decide then get a job. And Ruslan, now we move to you. How the HR system changed in finding talents, employing people, how the talent development system changed, what kind of people would you take to your company with pleasure, taking into account those realities we are living in? Do you have any changes in this area? Thanks that you mentioned that I'm representing the business. The central bank is closer to the state-owned segment, but my previous experience is also in business. And yesterday we had a session, a panel session, which was devoted to Riskkilling topic. And there we discussed what is needed to be done to make organizations meet all those challenges which we have now. And this pandemic highlighted a lot of things. The happiness agenda, healthcare agenda. The Minister of Health, Happiness is in one of the countries. And in perspective, this trend will be really popular, I'm sure. At the same time, we saw a lot of fragile topic, like healthcare, logistics chains, and so on and so forth. For the business, it's a very big challenge. And now I believe that many businesses revisit their strategies. Many businesses try to survive. They have to change their approaches, and the HR agenda takes a very serious part of these changes. HR say we have to be strategic partners of the business, and now there is the last opportunity to be the partner if they still don't take into account correct competencies and correct people. Now I have a few slides which I wanted to share with the participants of our panel. In general, there is a BCG survey saying that all over the world, 1.3 billion of people work below or above the qualification which is needed for this position. Something is underperforming and somebody is overperforming, and we lose around 6% of global GDP due to this deficit or surplus of some classification. The deficit is really big. Yesterday, Rosatom shared information in the panel. They have to share 70,000 engineers a year. Just imagine what huge deficit they experience right now. At the same time, now we see like some professions leave, some professions disappear, and people are worried what kind of skills they should master right now, what shall they do in their life. It's very important to keep the balance. The qualification pit which was escalated during pandemic, it will still be valid for the next 5 years at least. Other drivers influencing our format, we have another new element, environmental and medical sanitary topic, and of course the budgets organization for biological events are huge. Sanitizer, mask, personal protection equipment, also special medical equipment for lung ventilation. Some organizations also buy it for themselves. And we are closely looking at the focuses and essence in this sphere. It's not just treatment, it's also prophylactics, healthy lifestyle. And this is one of the new topics, and it has been actively developing the psychological stability topic. People who work remotely, they are really worried whether they will be able to come back, whether they will be needed in the offices. And now corporation universities reschedule their curriculums in formats. They put it all online. Online has some pluses. It removes the borders. You can communicate with your manager on a daily basis. We can remove territorial policy. Previously, we invited 100 or 150 people to our workshops. Now we can connect 3,000 and more people. Nevertheless, there are serious benefits which we are using.
To work on an employee's schedule, because you know that when you work from home, you work 24/7, you don't have clear boundaries, so our law changed, so we now have the hybrid format of work, or work at the office or remote work. So this is the context we are in. It's likely to prevail. If you remember the World Economic Forum of 2016, so it highlighted top 10 competencies, and Forbes added new top competencies in 2020, which are in demand. So now it's about adaptivity, flexibility on how you can imbibe and master new knowledge and skills. So the conclusion is that you need to devote all your life to training and retraining. I keep telling my colleagues, what I knew 5 years ago is no longer relevant. You need to master new technologies, new skills. That's the precondition of being in demand in the labor market. So also technical literacy. I would believe that 10 years ago, very little people knew about Viber or Zoom. So in our case, we now have new departments of digital data management, digital leadership. On Monday, I introduced to the team the new director on data management, because we work with a huge data array. And that's the profile our employees need. We need to understand, I have this or that vision and a certain career understanding, what's okay, what's not, what I have to fine-tune and enhance internal, external competencies. And who's responsible? Myself or my employer or the state? So 80% said I myself is responsible, but actually this is a partnership between the three elements to this or that extent. So in 2020, we fine-tuned our model of corporate competence. So we have scalability. So large-scale mindset allows you to see and realize the way system works. So the dynamic nature. So I was always critical that we have just two speeds, slow and very slow. But in 2020 it was critical for the market, for the industry, for the internal processes to be able to develop new solutions, which is important in the situation of an uncertainty. So you don't have the full picture, you don't have enough information, but you need to generate solutions. Also, resolution in management. It's not that easy in the public, in the government sector, because many people expect to get an order, to be committed. And our employees need to be ready to take moderate risks. So the new competencies were reflected in the new education profile. So the priorities were efficient remote work, on how you can manage, motivate remotely. Then the top two included psychological stability. Number three was time management, because we work 24/7. How can you be efficient in remote mode? And you can see other topics. So in 2019, we had 125,000 man courses, and we had 600,000 man courses in 2020, because they increase availability. And we have pleasure to employ 2,000 to 3,000 new employees of the central bank a year. We have new trends for cybersecurity, and we have our key functions. So we need modern employees which would comply with the organization's value. So this is the base which remains stable, which makes us different from the business. So we serve the society. So decisions we make, they influence not just ourselves and the industry, but the entire state. So I think I could mention the necessary qualities of an ideal candidate who could work in central bank. Ruslan, thank you. I know that you are very focused on individual career trajectories, and you told us a year and a half ago, as part of the Full Ahead course. So if there is a webinar by Ruslan Vesterovsky available on our web platform, do you think that creating a personal career trajectory changed based on the current situation? Well, I think that the general parameters remained the same as we discussed with Vladimir. Well, of course, you should be individual. You should be competitive by 6 or 7 parameters. You need to devote all your life to learning, so, which is a basic component. What comes next? You need to have a look what are the challenges in the times of the pandemic, digitalization, work with the data management. You need to have a look, and if you don't have those competencies in your profile, you need to think how it can happen. And also you need to have a number of scenarios for your career. And vision without an execution is a hallucination. It's my favorite quotation. So you need to take steps to be able to get to the next level inside the organization or outside of it. Well, yes, it's really essential when you plan to move, even at a slow pace, to your goal. And competences Ruslan Vesterovsky told us about, so allow us to proceed to our next speaker, Konstantin. So literacy, in managing digital technology and data. So you are responsible in developing digital economy in the Council of Federation. So do you think pandemic made the demand for digital economy more relevant? Maria, yes, of course. Just to comment on what our colleague said, so to live long, we need digitalization, which would be regulated and efficient. So after I listened to Ruslan, I realized the central bank is with us in terms of allocating funds we need. But of course, we entered the pandemic after we made, and today we have 1 year from the time Mr. Mishustin's government became its activity. So, and this year was helpful because before the pandemic, we invested into development of the digital economy, but the pandemic showed that we need to make a serious project, and this is what the President and the Premier keeps telling us. So to be successful in the context of the digital economy, we need to improve digital literacy of the population. And honestly, the situation is quite unbalanced, region by region, and digital development, as we analyzed in the Council of the Federation, so we have room for improvement, and we can honestly admit that we need to overcome this digital inequality. We need to cover all Russian families, all Russian households, with access to high-speed internet. So as for the school, so this goal will be achieved before the end of the year in 2021, but by 2024 everyone should get this access. Without the hardware, it would not be possible for us to achieve that goal of reaching the required level of digital literacy. And we need fast pace, not to just train professionals, but rather to develop domestic software. We understand that in strategic areas, despite all the restrictions and limitations, largely international software is used, so which means risks and the possibility to lose the global competition. So we live in the context of the world market, and this is something very serious, and we really pay a lot of attention to this in the Council of Federation. We have a council on development of the digital economy. Its head is Andrei Turchak, and the head of the Council of the Federation, Valentina Matvienko, pays a lot of attention to this, and I'd like to thank her for this. And what two regions require most attention? So we should mention remote areas like the Arctic region. I represent Murmansk region in the Council of the Federation, and of course for the Arctic, digitalization is not something trendy, but rather a question of life and death. If you don't have efficient communication with the ships, those who work in remote areas, so it's not just a question of health, but a question of survival. And the Arctic region offers wide opportunities for this. So, as we discussed recently, we need data exchange centers. So, it's cold in Arctic, so you need less money for creating data centers. Sadly, we don't have any data centers to the north of St. Petersburg, and none beyond the polar circle, unlike our neighboring countries. And I'm sure that in Murmansk, a data center will be created, and we also have to do it in Arkhangelsk region, but we need human resources and data center operators, and people need to be trained in the regions. So because salaries in this area are high, and they means prospects for people, for local people, so who would be able to develop the region. So in Murmansk we are transforming the marine school which existed there from the Soviet days, and we try to focus on digital education. We try to make this a world-class factor which would educate IT specialists, because we have large-scale projects on Arctic development, and they were based on a decision by president, and some laws were developed. So we have unprecedented conditions for developing businesses and entrepreneurship, and the Arctic is a special economic zone now with the minimum of taxes and a lot of tax benefits, which raises interest in businesses. We need support, we need human resources, and we work with companies. We encourage them to recruit new professionals for projects which are their priority. So, and Ruslan said that business should cater for the goals of the society. So we also share that point. We want the business to work for the benefits of all residents. As for the development of the digital area, so it gets huge money, and digital economy, despite the challenging conditions, well, we would not survive without private investment. And we in the Council of the Federation, we are really concerned on how we can create favorable conditions in terms of legislation which would foster development of private-public partnerships, on how we can remove the administrative barriers. So the regulatory guillotine has not killed all the necessary things, and we are preparing a package of amendments which would allow us to remove the barriers and raise private investment to get the business involved into the digital area in the Arctic region and other strategically important regions of our country. So I think I could list the main goals, and I'd like to add, and by the way, it was back in 2019 when we recommended the government to enhance the federal project called the Digital Region, just to link all municipal administration aspects through digitalization in the regions. And I would like to express my hope that this project could be adopted in the nearest future. Thank you. So we respected our agenda in terms of time, and we have 1.5 minutes left. And I would like to ask you a very quick question. So if we would go 1 year before, so what would you advise to yourself in a brief statement, realizing the challenges of the future year and what competences are welcome? Ruslan. Well, just to make changes faster, changes which were planned, Vsevolod, just to delve deeper into the digitalization and digital skills, IT, and so on. Well, Vsevolod, be calm and you will succeed. Konstantin, to learn as many lessons as possible, lessons of the pandemic, and make use of an extra impetus for flexibility. Many thanks. So, digital skills, neuroplasticity, flexibility, creativity, the ability to work in the context of change, happiness and health management. So that's the range, the palette we got here. So as Mark Twain used to say, if you want anything but you cannot achieve it, so it means that you don't want it enough. So I want you to have as many opportunities as you can. So it was a session regarding new competences. So think about yourself and save the time. Thank you.